Welcome to the Shop Talk Show, a podcast all about front-end web design, development, AI, whatever we want, and 10
Yeah, we
topics
just talk
at a
about
time.
topics, and I love it. Yeah, we
Yeah.
just bounce around because it just feels real and normal, and I don't care. So you see how good I look on this camera?
I feel
It
like...
makes me want to get some plastic surgery or something because I'm on camera more now. But yeah,
Yeah, dude.
A couple of years ago, I bought a Mark IV, a Canon Mark IV, which is a very classic, decades old. It's Canon's. I don't know if it's their #1 flagship model, but whatever. It's pretty popular. I've always liked Canons anyway. Remember, I think you use the Sony ZV-1
Sony
probably.
ZV-1, yeah.
Love that camera. It's also beautiful. Works great as a webcam. For some reason, I got off it. I think I was sick. There was some battery issue I couldn't get past, and I had this, my brain works in mysterious ways. It had to have 2 cables come out of it, and I didn't like that at one point. Anyway, I'm setting up my new desk in my new home office that I've set up, and I was like, I don't know what inspired me. I was like, why don't I attempt to use this Mark IV? And I don't regret it now. It looks amazing. Of course it does, because Jesus,
Yeah.
this is absolutely impractical for most people to use as a webcam. But I had the camera anyway. And it's not like I'm a mega photographer. If I need to use this as a camera, I'll just grab it off the stand and use it.
Tear it down,
But
yeah.
what's nice about it is that because it's such a established, big, fancy camera thing, it's a lot easier to use, even than the Sony, I think, because it's just so standard or something. So there's a USB port on it. It's the most unusual looking USB port I've ever seen. I think it can fit the Mini, but then it has an extra little dangle that comes out of it. I don't even know how to describe it. It is a weird looking cable. But I had a cable that worked, but I bought the one with the dangle on it just to be, I don't know, maybe it has more bandwidth or something. And it just plugs right into the USB port, and that's it. So I remember I used to use I think that's how the Sony operates too. But
and the...
Cam Link. And Camlink never made a USB-C version, and that always made me skeptical of its bandwidth capabilities. But also, I think crucially here, too, is I've always had to, feel like I was jerry-rigging up a continuous battery. But, of course, for the Mark IV, it was like $6.99 on Amazon or something. A power or a battery that you just slide into the battery hole and plug it into the wall, and you're done.
Okay,
So
it's like
nothing.
a power on device or whatever,
Yeah,
like a
totally.
Or
And
what do
then-
they call it? Fake batteries or like a dummy
Yeah,
battery?
ghost
thing?
battery
Yeah.
or
Ghost
mock battery or something. Yeah, it probably has a term that's none of those. But and then one of the concerns is, and I remember because I've gone down this path once before, is does the camera support? And this is yet another term that I'm going to get wrong, but it's basically like clean video out, meaning that a lot of times when you plugged in a camera, what you'd get is whatever was on the camera's screen itself. It would just, and that meant your settings, nuggets,
Histograph, the
totally
green,
like the focus ring, all this junk, and you'd have to bury down in settings and just hope that you could find each setting to turn all that crap off and then get essentially clean audio. Not the case here on the Canon Mark IV. You just plug it in and it's just clean HDMI. That's how it comes across if you want to. There are downsides. For one, it turns off a little bit once in a while or stops outputting. It seems like it gets bored or something. I don't think it's super used to being on 24 hours a day, but for the most part,
but I'm kind of like a 10-minute dude.
Yeah,
so
I could use a snoozerino.
Yeah.
And then Canon themselves makes called the EOS Webcam Utility Pro, and I think that's what makes it so smart. That's obviously they want just clean HDMI out. So as long as you have this little utility app open, that's the video that you get. But it's not amazing software, but it's fine, and it lets you control all the settings with your mouse, and just doing all the stuff in there, which is really neat, I think. But it's got a freaking subscription. It's pretty affordable. They're not trying to kill you too bad. But they do the kind of a smart business move where if you really want the highest quality video out, which obviously you do, that's locked behind their little subscription thing. You can use it for free, but I think to get 1080p out of it, you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
A little silly, but I was amazed at how clean and how nice the video looks and all that. And setting up your desk, you get this little burst of energy of of like, what could I do? What should I try? Here, look at my face. I know this is irrelevant, but like I got my Elgato now, my little key light, and change how bright it is.
Oh, that looks awesome. I need that.
That's real light. That's
Yeah.
that's not a technology.
Are you doing one? You have that glowy guy in the background. Is it just the one light, the one key light?
I was hoping to get that look, but can you kind of see some pinks and blues on the edges?
Yeah, it's
life,
good. It's
in real life. Those are very pink and very blue.
but it's kind of getting
they get blown out.
So yeah.
That's okay. I think it's
it looks good, cool. Man. Look at me. I'm in this yellow dungeon with a bunch of.
Your room looks awesome.
Much crap, dude. I have too many. I need a pro. I need a Jason Linksdorf or somebody to like. I need to consult, dude. I need him to be like, come in.
He's
and
the man
like,
too. That's
queer
exactly
eye
who you
my
want to talk
stuff.
to.
Like I need him to just fix me. Just
I like
come
the
through.
hire an adult service. I got some. I hired an adult to put together some bunk beds for rooms. She's just she's an only, but she wants to have sleepovers and stuff. So it's bunk beds time, and ordered a bed off Wayfair and paid a guy to put it together. It was a little saga, but I was like, I can't even. I can't. I absolutely can put this bed together. It will literally take me 8 hours to do it. This guy is a professional bed putter together. They're supposed to send two, but that was a little drama or whatever. He just did it by himself with a little bit of my help. It still took him 5 hours.
He's a pro,
like,
dude.
I can't.
Yeah.
There's the Chris does not have 5 hours for this, I'm afraid.
Well, that's the thing too, is that I like those services because sometimes it's like dudes with special needs and stuff. Like just they just like to build, and so that's what they want to do. So that's kind of cool. But like
this guy was he was a retired tech recruiter, but he had certain vibes. He was like, and he literally told me, he's like, I do this because I like it. I straight up I really like putting crap together. It is fun for me. Use my hands.
I think in a perfect world, like. You can be like you feel like that's all you have to do. Does that make sense? Like, I'm sure it's like hard to find business or whatever, but like, man,
that's the utopian future, is that people do the thing that they feel fulfilled by.
Yeah, right.
It could be like I like making omelets, and that should be just as valuable as I like writing CSS.
Totally. Just like, dude, it's like, yeah, I hope you can do like living wage, like doing that. Like that's like just that's a awesome. Like
he seemed to be doing good. It felt good.
I'm sure there's enough people, in a big enough city that just are like, dude, I bought it. I don't want to put it together.
Yeah. He said he does one a week just for funsies.
I put together we have a Murphy bed in our guest room. Like comes out of the wall thing.
It's got a big old hinge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got it's called like a danger hinge. It's like literally could like snap a cow in half, like if operated incorrectly.
It's not only does it hinge you down, it helps you pull it back up, right?
Yeah, it's like loaded for like putting it back up, and like, dude, it's I don't know. I'm just like, dude, I don't know how I'm going to get this taken apart and moved, because I don't.
Oh, yeah.
I'm at the point where I don't remember how the danger spring works. And so,
right. Is it like one of those big coiled springs like a garage door has or something?
Like a garage door thing, or, and I think like I have to like put a bar in it. I think I have the bar somewhere. Like I have to chuck a bar into it and hold that and then release it. And then like. Anyway, I'm going to die. I'm going to lose a hand, but it's fine. We're cool. So,
well, the reason I wanted to get this camera all set up is I want to do more. First, I had my streamer dream. I'm trying to live it.
Dude, you're doing great.
I try to go every day.
Popping on a little bit every day. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get better at it, be off the cuff, and get the editing flow right and stuff. I experimented this week with taking one of the recordings. And then there's actually a Balatro streamer I watch once in a while named Raffle, and he just streams, but he streams for lots of hours a day. And then when takes the most interesting bit, chops it off, but then records a little voiceover intro that explains to be like what's going to happen in this video. And he's just talking over himself for a minute, and then just goes like, hope you enjoy the video or whatever. So you do that, you give it a better thumbnail, and then you chop off. So my stream is I would love, by the way, for all you listeners to subscribe and then pop in once in a while. That'd be nice, because sometimes I struggle to get one person to watch, not most popular streamer in the world.
Yeah.
But when there's 0 people in the room, I find it hard to start. Because I usually have like a little bit of a plan for what I'm going to do, and I don't want to like deliver the whole plan to 0 people. But as soon as one person is in there, then it's like off to the races, So.
Yeah, well, and I think there's a lag in like when it updates and stuff like that too, the like streamer counts, and then you're waiting there because you're like, I don't want to just like start blasting and then people show up too late, but then I don't want to like
Right.
But
then the saved video, which YouTube, because I've streamed to YouTube saves it. That means the first 2-3 minutes are literally just me going, like just useless.
Yeah. Why doesn't YouTube have like an editing, like a little bit of? That seems silly, but just like, let me edit it a smidge, dude. Let me get it ready.
Yeah, it's really Riverside who's crushing it at this. They do a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got I got this cool video set up as partially for streaming, partially because I want to do more videos for CodePen when the new editor comes out, partially because it's a power move to look cool in Zoom calls and sound cool,
Yeah.
And then, just more stuff too. So I, do some videos here and there. I mentioned this too many times, but I was at CSSA, did my talk on scope, and then I turned that into 3 little videos for old Mark over at Front End Masters. This is a lot of, because I already have the content, right? So I write it up, and then, there's a little piece. I'll just do this little piece as like a 10-minute video, make the thumbnail for it and stuff. And all this technology is kind of falling together, and then we're spinning back up CodePen Radio too. So it's just a lot of like media stuff going on in my life right now. And the tooling has gotten so good. This Riverside is tremendous, pulls out little clips and stuff. But, we've talked about Figma. They have this, one of the new, Figma sites, which is just garbage. Don't use it. I can't see it ever being any good. Just throw it in the trash. But whatever. They have another, Canva are they certainly a big public company, right? Canva, we're probably less in the market because we're designers ourselves or whatever, but people that make like little marketing graphics and stuff, Canva just crushes for. They do full of templates, easy to edit templates for stuff. They just do great, and I'm envious. That was a good idea, and just yet another thing eating Adobe's lunch, But so Figma releases Buzz, and it's like good. It's a little Canva-like. It's like, what are you trying to make? You're making an Instagram graphic for your luncheon or your, a sale on bunk beds or something. They really help you through that. And it's in Figma land, it's kind of like a trimmed down editor where they really want you to start with a template, or even if you don't start with a template, there's templates for a title and templates for a button and stuff. But I was like, I had to make all these thumbnails for these videos and the edited streams and stuff, and I was like, I'm going to use that. And it was pretty good.
Yeah, interesting.
It's nice when this technology really falls together and just makes these things that you want to do easier.
Because that product, if I remember it from the announcement was kind of like a targeted for marketing, right? Like repeat thumbnails, social media deals. Like if you wanted to like make the same ad with 10 headlines, or if you wanted to do...
Yeah, you can upload a little spreadsheet and it'll make a bunch of them.
Yeah, right.
I really liked the bunch of them aspect, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when you make that thing for your blog post, the like open graphic, thumbnail or whatever. You could just do that for all your videos and stuff.
Yeah. Just, I'll show you. I know this, we'll mouth blog our way through it, but if I can, just because I happen to have it still open, I'm sharing the Figma app here.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right. So I needed to make 3 of these, and I didn't really use. These are the 3 features of scope, and they needed I went full cheesy YouTube video.
Well,
thumbnail with the face.
Big face. Yeah.
Why not?
You're not pointing at anything, but you could Photoshop an arm in.
Oh no, but I could share another screen where so behind me, I'm on camera too, right? I did I still got my.
Oh, green screen pull down. Oh. Yeah. Totes profesh. Yeah.
Come on.
I need one of those.
Right? So I went like And I did all the expressions against the green screen.
Yeah.
And then pulled off the background, and so I can drop them into these thumbs. But if you look real close at the Figma I'm showing, you can see a little green on my bald ass head.
Oh, like a little reflection or something?
Yeah, like Photoshop cut them out just fine.
I think it looks fine. You're being over
concerned there. Yeah. But yeah, you can just rip new asset and look at all these templates and stuff they have in there. These are all like, that's why this to me looks like Canva looks, like just pick this one, change the words, ship it,
Yeah.
I
Put
think
my
that's
image
kind
in. That's
kind of neat. But you can just type in YouTube thumb, and they just have a whole bunch of examples of YouTube thumbs. Isn't that great?
Dude,
good job.
Well, so this is like the sort of thing I want, like consulting on, or whatever. I want the person to like come to me, tell me how to point my office, right? Like, cause you look at Kevin Powell, right? I'm going to move my desk and unplug my whole thing, but they always have a corner in the back, right? And they're always kind of camera off to the side.
Yeah.
And then they always, kind of have
so good at it.
I have too much stuff, too much detail. You have less detail, and then you're doing perfect. You're like as far enough away it's not getting focused, and I need the coaching. And then for the thumbnails, it's like, here, make these 10 dumb faces. Cool, we got templates. Okay, here you go. Here's the package. And then okay, we're gonna edit. Here's our style. Like we just do. I don't know. Chris Enns is helping us out with all this. He's having fun. It's going good. Like I'm just kind of like, sometimes I just wish you could just like pay for that service, just be like, here's the success package, or whatever, here's what you need. So here's how to,
even I am almost doing that. I'm trying to kind of follow the template because there's so much stuff to think about that it's like, I don't want to have the additional burden of, but I want to break the rules. I want to do things against the norms and to come up with my own totally unique style for every aspect of all this is like, I can't right now. I need to just baby step your way towards that.
Yeah.
Because there's too much to think about. That's
on
like,
your
once you get it all
video.
good.
Yeah. On your
the 1000th
videos.
video, right. You have to keep hitting that publish button, and because otherwise you'll get too hung up. You'll never publish anything if you get.
No, there was it's too hard, or it's a lot of work. I think I was watching these. I went on a deep dive about Mark Rober. You know who Mark Rober is? He does all these science experiments for kids. Like he makes those little, it's not Kiwi box, what is it called? Crate box, something like that, but little science experiments at home. He's like a former JPL, a NASA engineer kind of thing. And then he does like all these experiments, like, I don't know, can we make the world's largest elephant toothpaste, which is like where you pour two chemicals together and it makes a chemical reaction and shoots out this foam, right? And it's super hot and goes super high. Or like one that he did recently was, I'm going to test Tesla's autopilot feature and like drive towards a painting of a brick wall, like a Wile E. Coyote style brick wall with a painting of a road on it, like can I trick my Tesla? And he totally did. I'm sure Tesla dudes, bros are disputing the results accuracy of his test, but it was just kind of this like interesting like experiment. But he follows a formula. And his backyard Olympics is just great, where he makes a obstacle course for squirrels, like a sort of like a ninja warrior course for squirrels.
I feel like I've seen that. Yeah.
Fat Gus, very popular character in my family. But he has a pretty interesting formula in that he like makes like a 3-second, like the first 30 seconds or something has like 40 shots, like 40 clips, 40 edits in the first 30 seconds. And
you've told me about that before, about how cut heavy this world is.
I just think it's like crazy, but then there's this big arc where he sets it up, right? He's, if we were going to do it about CSS, it's like, hey YouTube, today I'm going to tell you about how to style a drop down, and then like, so you start with like exactly what you're going to do, and then like you hit them with a payoff early, right? And then you like build a story, an emotional arc, like, oh,
yes, right.
And then you like hit it with like a finish, like almost like a hero's journey story, but you like finish with like, here's the final drop down reward, his is more interesting experiments, but I'm trying to tailor it to our audience, but
it's almost like streaming is the opposite of that in a way, in that you just have this idea, and then I don't know. Okay, think of Kevin Powell. He is just. I'm so jealous of. He has the most amazing idea. He really knows CSS very well.
Yeah,
in a way that I thought I did at one point. And has a good cadence of getting them out too, and then explains it really nicely and all that. But I almost guarantee he does 2-3+ hours of work on a demo or concept first, and then
doesn't come in
thinks
and
about
improv,
it, how
right?
he's going to hit it. Yeah, I don't think he's improving a lot, maybe a little.
Yeah.
I don't know if he writes scripts or not. That seems like probably not, but at least has like a pretty firm plan of like how this is going to go.
Yeah.
And then records it. And that's totally fine and better, probably, like that. I want to watch that video, but it's different than if he was like, he just hit record from the second he had the idea and is like, let's just see if we can figure it out. And I'm hoping that let's just see if we can figure it out is also interesting. That also seems like Coding Train is a little bit like, let's just figure it out, but with editing, it definitely seemed like that dude is like winging it. But he's so smart that winging it is pretty effective.
Even, his tangents are also interesting. And,
right.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go to MDN and just read slowly on stream, But I think that's important too. Like, see how the brain works. Like that hopefully is kind of a relatable moment. So I thought we could do some of those. Like look at some of my recent little tangents into what that has been like for me.
Yeah.
One of them was yet another CSS Day thing. I'm sitting in this side event. It's called CSS Cafe, and there's a guy doing a talk, and one of the CSS properly animation composition came up. Think you've ever used it in your life?
Animation composition?
Yeah, it's pretty obscure.
I don't think
I wrote
know
down
it.
in my notes. This is what my notes said. They said animation composition. I was like, oh, shoot. So I guess I'm going to figure
notes.
that out.
Got it. Nailed it. Yeah.
And then I was like, how is this going to work? And then later I run across this Josh Komau post who published just last month about keyframes. And I was like, oh, I wonder if he's talking about the same thing. And then he wasn't really, but it was also a very interesting blog post. And I was like, whatever. I'll just open up these tabs and maybe I'll do a stream and see if we can figure it out. And it's the MDN page for animation composition is like pretty good. It explains it, but it is a little mind-bending what it actually does. But I've now looked at it enough times, and the streaming help you because you just it forces your brain to sit there and focus on it, Is that like, let's say just think of the transform property. Here, I'm going to mouth blog this real slowly and clearly for us. There's a transform property, and one of the things on it is translate X with the parentheses, right? And you say 10 pixels on it. And then you can space separate those. So then the next one is rotate 25 degrees. So as we know, as web builders, it's going to do both of those two things, right? Got it. That's what's happening. Transform with two values. Then you add keyframes to this same element, and inside the keyframes, you also have some maybe you have some translate X's, and maybe you have some rotates in there too. Yeah. So what animation composition says is like, how do you want me to handle that? I think the default behavior that we're used to is that what's happening in the keyframes will totally wipe out any transforms that are already on that element.
Yeah, if I said opacity 0, if I put opacity 1 and I start my animation with opacity 0, it's opacity 0 to start.
Totally, because it's just going to be like, too bad. I said what it's going to be. It's actually like a very, very strong override in CSS. Like you don't need important. Like it's going to wipe out what's there. But you could say animation composition add, and then it's going to be like, oh, I'm going to add on to the end of, remember how our original transform had space separated values? It's going to take that, any transforms that are in the keyframes, and just add them on like it's a third or fourth thing on that list, which is just so super weird to my brain. Or accumulate is another value, and then instead of adding it onto the list, it adds it if it's already there. So let's say there's translate X, what did we say, 30 pixels or something, and then in the keyframe there's a translate X of 100 pixels. What it's going to do is be like, oh, at the beginning of this keyframe, then it's going to be translate X 130 pixels. It's going to accumulate them together, not just add them to the end of the list. It's just really like, when are you going to need this? But of course, I was sitting in a talk where they were using it to great effect. It was really cool. They had multiple keyframes, and one of them was shaking some stuff around. One of them was had some waves going by, and it made sense. You need it. But that was the kind of thing that my stream has been doing, is like trying to figure out how these things work. And just let your brain just be complicated by it. But so then I go down. What's
the difference between add and accumulate? Add is like, I'm going to add these keyframe
add
values
it to the end of a space separated string of stuff. Remember, so it could be translate X 30 pixels, rotate 25 pixels, and then we're in add territory. I'm going to add another thing, and it could be another translate X. So I'm going to share my screen again, Dave, because this is. Well, and don't worry, people. We'll mouse blog
add and
our way
accumulate
through
are
it.
like the same thing, so I'm having like a short circuit, in my brain, like
right.
So,
but they are subtly different, Hence the beauty of learning.
Replaces
this stuff.
the default behavior, kind of, right? Like that's kind of the right. Like that's that's
the default that you're used to, right? So are you seeing my little turtle?
See your code pen, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So at the bottom, there's this black thing here. Watch it when I say move forward. You see the turtle move? The turtle moved to the right, everybody listening, with a little bit of a transition there. And you can see at the bottom it says translate X 100 pixels. Cool, right?
Okay.
I'm going to say move forward again, and it's not going to change translate X to 100 pixels. It's just going to do another translate X on it. Now, you don't need to, that is a perfectly valid value for transform. You just do two of them.
I can just staple those on?
You can just staple them on, Dave. Now I'm going to hit reset, though, and this is really going to blow your mind, or it did to mine. So I'm going to move forward 100 pixels. Now I'm going to rotate, so it just staples on a rotate. We already knew we could do that. But now I'm going to move forward again. Wouldn't you expect it to just move straight to the right? But it doesn't.
Yeah, that's what it moves.
It moves diagonally
it
down.
Where it is.
So the order of these really matters. You move 100 pixels, then you rotate, then you move forward. It moves forward at the angle that the rotate is at. So I was like, oh, man, I'm just making my little turtle guy. And look at them just stack and stack. These can just stack forever. You can just do as many as you want. I was like, that is so weird to me.
I didn't know you could. You explained the space separation fine, but I didn't actually parse what you're saying. So you can just keep adding transforms in the same transform.
And we're not using any keyframes here. This is just one transform on an element with just a bunch of space separated things. But now, just to get back to the add versus accumulate, imagine, let's just reset to some. Oh, that was fun. Did you see it
went
unwind
backwards?
like that?
Oh my gosh, I hate it. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I'm jealous. That's why I hate it. Yeah.
So now let's say we have these two on here. If we were to use animation composition add on a keyframe animation, and the keyframe animation also had a translate X on it, it would look like this, Dave. It would add it to the end of the string. Dude, but if we used accumulate, what it would do is change this first one to be the accumulated value. It wouldn't add a third one. It would change this one. So it it matters a little bit as we're learning.
I need this today. I have a thing where I'm trying to make diagonal things fall diagonally, but at a different rate. And so I'm setting a position randomly, and then I'm moving it, calculating all the degrees that it needs to move. But I have to animating them. I have to calculate the end position and be move to, or I actually ended up using container queries, move 100% of the container or whatever diagonally.
Right.
But what I really want to express is just move 40 pixels this way and 100 200 pixels that way, you know, like X and Y. And so, but I couldn't do that because translating with replace just put them all in the same line. They would all just do the same.
Dude,
and now
it might
this
solve your
one,
problem.
if I set the position, I hate that. That's great news. Wow. Okay.
Oh, I know. So you can be in one room and see one little property, and it turns into this just rabbit hole. Now look at them. Now it's affecting your life too.
Now it's changing my life. Yeah. Who knew? Wow.
So there's not all properties are like this. So it's like opacity isn't the same because opacity doesn't take multiple values. So like accumulate and stuff. Like it might matter a little bit, but it's much more pronounced as a situation when it's something like translate. But you know what else takes a space separated list of things that it's going to do is filter. So filter, you can be like, oh, I'm going to grayscale it or whatever, and I'm going to blur it.
Sepia, blur, yeah.
Right, so you can give them this big old list, and I found that interesting. And while I was playing with that, I was like, okay, let's do blur 1 pixel on something. Cool. Let's do blur 1 pixel, 1 pixel. It'll do that too. It'll just blur it twice. And I was like, is that the same as blur 2 pixels or not? And then I did blur 2 pixels. No, blur 2 pixels is way blurrier than blur 1 pixel, blur 1 pixel, which is
I could also use this. Holy crap. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's like a half pixel blur or some kind of. But then I'm like, well, is it because like you could infinitely blur 1 pixels and it will never be as blurry as blur 2 pixels or something? Like somehow that's how my brain operates. But I was like, nope. As soon as you put about 6 blur 1 pixels on a thing, it's blurrier than blur 2 pixels is. And I'm like, okay, my brain can't deal with that, but it's just a fact.
I think I kind of get it, but wow, that's weird. Yeah. It's just how that math works on like blurring. I'm blurring what I'm looking at. Like like it's like a photocopy of a photocopy, you know? You're not,
yeah, you know, right. That's the way to think about it, because it does one and the pixels come out a little bit and then it does it again and they come out a little bit more and stuff. I don't think there's necessarily a limit to how blurry blur 1 pixel can be, but
yeah.
So this is like one thing to chase down, you know, and it turns into this, like, I don't even know what to do with that. But see, in Kevin's case, just to circle it back to that, he does a bunch of work and then he gets this amazing video out of it. So like doing the pre-work probably feels good to him, like it's going to be this big video. But the pre-work sometimes is hard for me to do because it's hard to, like, if you don't know what you're going to get out of it, you're like, oh, I don't know if it's valuable or not. Usually it is, but I'm trying to turn that on its head and then just stream and just conscious, because we got me and you, Dave. I'm used to this, like just talking off the cuff. So streaming is a natural extension of that. And then my goal is to hopefully get more content off the back of it later, instead of doing the work ahead of time and getting the one solid video that I can turn it into blog posts and other shorts and other marketing material.
I think that's great. I mean, I think, you know, in the world of products and stuff like that, like streaming and content generation kind of is how you market, you know, like just having a stream, like showing things off, showing off the new CodePen editor and stuff like that.
Right.
I think that's huge. I think, you know, but yeah, I think that demo,
it's huge, but it's like I get 2 people watching. So how huge is it, you know? Well, you got to earn that. You know, you
gotta put in the stripes, right? You gotta earn that, or just buy followers. That's what everyone else is doing. Anyway, so you buy a few thousand followers, $10. Anyway, then the next thing is, you know, you do get some content out of it if you like can boil that ocean and build a clip or something like that. Like, you know, I think that's worthwhile. But yeah, it's almost like planning a talk. Like you have to have, what's the demo that really ahas how this works, you know? And you probably even have to like know what you're building before you just start streaming and building, you know? Like I think the greats do that, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's hard to be off the cuff, you know, but a lot of people do that, but you know,
tricky.
It's hard, you know, or
fun,
or maybe Kevin like literally doesn't know what he's doing when he turns on the camera. He's just that good. He's just like,
maybe he's even got a video on it, you know? I don't know. It'd be cool to
again. This is where I want the coach. I want the coach. I want to be like, hey, dude, if you're gonna do this kind of stream, you got to have a plan, you know? Or like, if you're gonna like, if you're going to play a puzzle game on stream, maybe be good at puzzles or something, like people don't want to watch somebody just fail or, or
Right.
like, there's only so much people like can put up with or,
that would be, wouldn't that be interesting to know? Somebody says like, hey, if you're on 2 minutes of figuring this out, you should stop and do something else because, data shows that you're going to lose half your followers.
Huge fall off. Yeah,
it's happened to me so many stupid times, man, where I'm really chasing down. I'm like, this should work, and it doesn't, and I cannot let it go. I'm just like, I'm going to stare at this thing as long as it takes, and I do get the sense that people don't love that. They don't mind off the cuff, but they do mind wheel spinning.
I had a few Luro streams back when we were trying to make Luro happen, and it was more thunder, but and I mean it was great, but dude, it was always just I'm drenched in sweat after I am working the hardest I've ever worked. I never felt comfortable, right? So I think there is like putting in the work and earning your stripes to feel comfortable, and then so that's
surprising
part
to
of
me
it.
because you think this show gives you a big leg up. I mean, at least you're a little.
I think a big leg up, but that one wayness that comes from, that comes from a
it's being solo is different.
Is quiet. It feels like I'm talking to myself.
Right, so you got to have that chat window open. I think there's probably a critical mass of chatters that feels really good, and then that's an acquired skill as well because you kind of want to like anytime anybody says anything, you want to respond to them, but then you can lose track of what you're doing, and then that's it's like being at a conference talk and letting people do questions in the middle of your talk. You're like, that's not a good idea, but on stream it's a little loosier. Like, you got to be able to look at those comments and without actually saying anything, ask your brain, will this improve the stream if I respond to it?
Yeah.
Or not?
Yeah.
Is it funny? Is it engaging? Or is it just stupid? Or whatever. Not
There's
stupid,
like a
but just not.
call.
It's too distracting right now to do it. Yeah.
It's a special brain thing. Does it amplify something, or does it modify what I'm currently saying enough to where it's better, or more interesting? Yeah. Yeah, that's
what has
really
helped
hard.
me tremendously is this. There's OBS, and it seems like 92% of streamers use OBS. Okay, great. I think it's awful. I haven't put in the time to learn it, but it's pretty obtuse. It's whatever. It's the big one, and it's like free, isn't it? 'Cause it's like open source and stuff. So there's probably a zillion plugins for it and stuff.
$0 a month. Yeah,
but it was too much for me. I had to bail, and I found one called Streamlabs or something that was kind of like a fork of it, but just nicer.
Yeah.
And I liked that for a minute, and then Enz turned me on to Ecamm Live, which is Mac-only software, which I have to admit I have a little snobbery for that because I think it's like really nicely done Mac apps that feel very Mac-y, just are attractive to me sometimes, and it's that. It's really nice, and that has clicked with me as like I almost like clicking on it. It's in my dock, and I'm like, ooh, I get to use Ecamm Live. It's like almost a pleasure to use. And I like that.
Could be interested. I mean, I used Stream Deck when I did it, the Streamlabs, and but it's build your own, right? It's very like, okay, you want this,
really
you
is.
gotta build this, and I would love a bit more of a,
I would bet that it has more power. Some of that. I don't know, stuff that you're like, oh, I need to, I'm streaming for 3 hours. Oh, I'm going to run to the bathroom and I'm going to play a little video clip that, I don't know, has the DVD logo bounce around or whatever. And those kind of scenes and stuff that's pretty interesting, powerful stuff. Or like have a sidebar, the incoming comments really nicely styled. That seems like table stakes stuff that Ecamm Live doesn't have. Or maybe I just haven't leveled up and stuff, but it's just one more learning curve. So it's like learning the culture of Twitch is a learning curve, and what the expectations are there, and what does well on YouTube is learning curve, and what's your streaming software is a learning curve, and what your audio and video sound like is a learning curve. And there's just so many learning curves that I can get freaking heart palpitations.
That's where Dave Rupert, YouTube coach, comes into play. Hey, welcome to Dave Rupert's YouTube coaching seminar. I'm gonna get you set up. First, point your camera at a corner. That's how you're gonna make a good. It's got angles. People love angles, baby.
Oh my God, this would do well. There's no ambiguity. You're just telling me like it is. You know? And then you got guys like me telling you.
I state things as fact, and I have no freaking clue. I've never had a successful channel, but I'm gonna state it as fact.
Even the, like just ship it, make sure, try to get 1,000 videos done, that kind of thing. Sure, neat. But like you got to be a little careful that if there's such garbage, is it actually doing me a disservice? Like I you know what I mean? Like especially at CodePen's level, if I just was making absolute garbage videos, I think it would hurt our brand. I worry that I'm riding the line now. I
wonder, at what point does the algorithm say nah? like are they are there rocky comebacks in the algorithm, or does the algorithm just how quickly can it clock
Are there rocky comebacks in the algorithm? I would love to know the answer to that question.
Yeah, or is it just like literally like it writes you off hard, like the first 10 videos? I feel
like I'm wrote off now on the CodePen channel specifically, which is it says at CodePen Official is our thing on YouTube. So now I have this stream and I edit it down and I made a nice thumbnail and it's a nice video and I published it yesterday, taking a look at CSS gap decorations, new thing from Microsoft. Very nice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It has 26 views. We have 3,500 subscribers on CodePen. Not huge. But you'd think the algorithm would put that video in front of some people. And I think we are de-algorithmed somehow. And that's okay. I'm not going to stop doing it because that's our official channel. That's where we post stuff. Like, I would like the algorithm to support us, but like, whatever. I can point people to this video in our own documentation. I can send a newsletter about it. I have my own channels to some degree. I'm not banking on YouTube helping us, but I don't think YouTube likes our channel. Right. And I play their game. We post videos, we post shorts, I go live, we do all their stuff. And I always thought, the algorithm, what it likes is when you do all their stuff.
When you check their boxes, yeah. That's my understanding too. But our number one YouTube search on ShopDoc, I'm looking at it now, is Big Fish, Little Fish cardboard box. So that's
is it a short
breakout video? Yeah, where Andy taught us the whatever Big Fish, Little Fish cardboard box or whatever. Anyway, that's our breakout video, dude. We friggin' made it.
Yeah. Good.
Oh, hey, crazy. Great. We're doing good. We're doing good, chat. Yeah, anyway, that's it's really, I think if I sound like I'm obsessing over, I really don't obsess over the performance of our YouTube channel, I should say. I think I am just curious. I'm curious about the game. I'm curious about content. I'm always and I'll take this, I think I was talking to Enz the other day. I'm always in this 80-20 Pareto principle thing. Is there a 10% fix effort that we could apply to this to make it 90% better, or a 20% effort to make it 80% better? Is there one thing we could be doing to really boost the quality and boost viewership or whatever? Are there tricks
there
like that?
There might be, because it seems like there should be, and that smart business people apply them. I'll remember go ahead.
Well, for the lack of effort we're putting into this, sorry, YouTube, we're really lowballing the effort here. But for what could we do to really make an impact? That's
is it just the thumbnail? Should it be shorter? Is there whatever they call it, low hanging fruit? Sometimes, What can that do? Because we know what the high hanging fruit is. It's spend a month on a script and
1 month, 6 figures, 10 people,
Yeah, but what's the low-hanging fruit's a little bit more interesting. Yeah, certainly. Is it just our thumbnails or what?
Dave Rupert's YouTube coach in here. I need to channel that guy. He's got some good tips. Make a good thumbnail. Just make it really good. 90% of the work goes into the thumbnail, baby.
I still don't even know. I always say that. I'm how much does it matter? I don't even know.
I see people A/B testing like a Primogen or a Theo, giving the little A/B test on the thumbnails. Makes me think it matters.
Nice. Right.
You know, I think.
Yeah, obviously they're a little inspiration too because they do such a great job. But it does what I learned from them is like anything can become at least a stream for me. Like I just open a tab and I'm like, hey, that looks interesting. Oh, look at Microsoft's doing gap decorations, easily a full stream. Like you just look at it and you start playing with it and you open dev tools and you look at the syntax for things and you pop over a code pen, all this. I'm like, I could, hopefully this isn't a turnoff, but I feel like I could turn anything into a stream, you know?
Well, you're doing it anyway. You were doing it to write a front-end masters article or a CSS tricks
or something, or a Chris's Corner at the Spark or whatever. Yeah.
You are going to do it anyway. So all that's changed is you have applied some video and some, you know, a camera and some, I guess, I don't know, entertainment to that, you know, process.
Yeah.
Rather
hopefully.
than, yeah. I think that's a good process, you know.
Yeah, there was. How much time do we have? Is there a little bit left?
Negative 10
a little
minutes,
bit.
But we can.
Well, I know you were interested in anchor positioning because I would think, man, in your design system world that you live in, that you have loads of opportunities to think about and use it.
Standard is floating DOM UI, which is like 50K, which is like bigger than our entire system. You know, maybe it's 10 or 15K.
Is that floatingui.com or whatever?
Floating UI. Yeah, floating UI.
Yeah, I've used this before. It is really
DOM.
nice.
You know, it's the standard, right? It's like the best thing. Popper, I think, was also like one, but I think it's actually
and it really is just it really just goes away when we get it in CSS, right? Like
you don't need it, man. You don't need it. And so, like, you know, I'm trying to like let me just do I'll do whatever, my standard, grab the URL from the CDN, you know, and then just see how big it is in the network panel. And I mean, I'm getting 31 KB of JavaScript and 17.4 gzip. So like, you know,
yeah, it's pretty beefy.
8.7 and 14.8. Anyway, so that's survivable. But like, it's big, it's heavy, you know, and it doesn't have native tech, right? Like, I want the native tech.
It's third party, and it has a learning curve, and all this, you know, it's JavaScript at all, which has additional costs.
Yeah, so we've tried to remove it, and we are using the Oddbird polyfill, which is great. But you know, like, yeah, it's not without its caveats, man. So you really have to. So
it is pretty cool. I think I got one through that I'm shipping it now in CodePen in one spot because we also have some kind of library, or I think we wrote our own positioning that basically sets the top and left value of things to another element. It's nowhere near 50K. It's like 0.2K or something, but it's also very stupid, right? Like, we didn't need robust edge detection at the time we shipped it, but once in a while I'll notice, I'm like, oop, you know what, I would have actually liked edge detection right there. That's one case where it would be nice to have. And okay, so cool, obviously floating UI has edge detection. That's one of the main purposes of using a positioning library, is that it's like it will safely position something and have fallbacks. And that's one of the things that I was playing with, is that anchor positioning at its basic, when you first learn about it, says, yeah, okay, name an anchor. That's the thing you're going to position stuff next to. Now, anything else on the page, you just put position absolute on it and then say, go anchor yourself to that anchor name. And then it moves over there. So it's base API. I love APIs like this that are really simple to grok. And then it says, like, well, where though? Which side or which corner do you want to be, where does it anchor to? So you have some choices, like, do you want it to be below and centered, or above and centered, or off to the left and up, or whatever? You have all these options, which is neat. But then, like, what I have less experience with, and I'm curious if you do, is that, like, are you doing edge detection too, or have you not needed it yet, or what?
There is some edge detection inside Anchor itself, and you use like these flip in lines and flip block syntax, where it'll like if you're at the top and your element kisses the top, it'll flip it to the bottom.
It'll flip to the bottom, right?
Which is cool.
But do you have to ask for that, or do
you have
get
to
it
kind of
for free?
specify that. That's like it's in the position try fallbacks. Yeah. So like you have to kind of like specify this like chain of fallbacks, and you can actually create your own fallbacks, which is weird too.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was playing with it, because you can say normal flip block or something, and then when it hits the top, it flips to the bottom. But you only get, I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. It's like, how many of those do you get? Is it kind of like infinite or whatever? And is there a way that everybody should just be writing? But then you can hit a custom ident on there, right? As our favorite things, and that refers to an at position try, I guess, and that's where you can be a little bit more elaborate about the order in which it's going to try them and apply additional styling when they match and stuff like that. I was like, wow, this is really fancy. How much you can do. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm happy to do it. And if I was in your position where I was trying to deliver a perfect component, I would really lean into this position try thing and make sure that I'm doing all the edge detection. Left, right, top, bottom, and when it hits and which ones go first. And
I think, usually like if it's like something that flies down, like a drop down, we're just going to do flip block and flip start. But if it's like a fly out, like you hover a submenu item, then we're going to try to flip in line, and then I think it's flip, or like then we just do like
you gotta do
block
both.
end.
You got to do left and right and
then just make it the next one in the list. But or maybe you like zhuzh it over just to make it like, that might be like where you do a custom one just to like make it kind of look nested, appear nested. Cool. So there's options, but I
think I've mentioned this on the show before, but it makes me feel like there should be one keyword that's like, do all the fallbacks. You do it.
Yeah.
Like, of course I want it to open below instead of above. Obviously I want that to happen, But I haven't thought all that through yet.
Hey, somebody can make it with CSS functions. Maybe somebody makes a auto negotiate, and then it's just literally.
That's what was appealing to me, is try to write this once and have it be a thing that you apply to anything with anchor positioning. It's like, here it is. Here's the robust set of fallbacks that deal with all situations.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
but also is that naive in that it depends on the size of the thing and what you're doing? Like, I don't know. I haven't lived it yet.
Flip block and flip inline get you like 80-90% of the way there. Like it's basically,
I bet you're right. Yeah.
If you're doing an inline anchor, then flip inline works most of the time. If you're doing a block anchor, block works most of the time. But that rare situation where you're doing two, or you have two for some reason, like a pop out and a pop out kind of thing, that's where you sort of need to get clever. And I think you just have to.
There's a couple other details that are hard for me to understand, like the when it chooses to do it. Like, does it do it immediately, or does it on resize? And then does it do it because it absolutely has to do it, or does it do it just because there happens to be more space on the other side? Like, something is, your button is like, it's towards the right side of the page. It could still open to the right of it. There's space to do it, but you're telling it, there's actually more space on the left side, so just open it on the left side anyway. You have that fine-grained level of control, which is interesting to me.
I mean, that's, it's sort of, that's like the, how much time are you going to sink, like how to make it perfect. Like
the way I was able to ship it too, I wanted to mention, was that we just left the JavaScript positioning in place, and I just use important rules, because ours doesn't have edge detection. So the reason I did it was that I can write this in CSS also, override the top and left values that our JavaScript is applying with, unset important, essentially, and then let the CSS take over, and it has edge detection. So, ideally I would, stop doing it in JavaScript entirely, but as we know, it's not supported in all browsers. So I just let the JavaScript do its thing and ship this, which is not how I would leave it forever, but I thought it was enough of a little benefit to try in production that it was worth it.
I should write a post, because I did learn a lot, like making it work in Safari which had popover but not anchor, and then Firefox, which had popover and not anchor, and Chromium, which has anchor and popover. And then there's a few inconsistencies between how Firefox thinks it should work and Safari thinks it should work. And then you add this polyfill on top of that, and now there's like it's like a three-sun problem, three-body problem, you know, like who's right now, you know, like who's
right.
Yeah.
I was coming across that stuff too, that it's a little inscrutable when the algorithm decides it's time to do it, and it's not cross-browser consistent. But that's okay. I tend to trust them, but at the same time, it's like, why did you make that decision right now?
My coworker John had a discovery and an issue where, you know, if we made like a popover, like with 30,000 menu items or something like that, you know, like it like messed up. It just really couldn't figure out where it should go and how it should anchor and stuff like that. And you know, we kind of kicked around a few options. Like there was really no good way to like make it really work, you know, because by the time you like scrolled, you'd like click out. So I think our solution, which is kind of naive and dumb, but I think it's working for right now, was to make it like max height 40 VH or something. So your popover is only 40% of the viewport. So it'll always flip. Like it always knows it can flip because it's always going to have enough room on the other side, you know.
I see. Yeah,
so,
that's why I was like, is there enough niche situations that it's impossible to just like have the best way? That's almost true. That is interesting though. The max height and max width stuff, or the logical property equivalents, factor into this, because it's one thing for the algorithm to say, oh, this is a drop-down menu and it's 300 pixels wide. That's easy to wrap your mind around whether it can fit or not. But as it gets close to the edge, if you don't have if it's really fit width or has just a min and max on it and stuff, that algorithm needs to be deciding, well, you know, I could squish and still fit, or should I flip sides? You know?
Yeah, when you have to program your thing to be squishy, but you also want it to not like collapse in width, you know, it's hard. It's like internet's hard. So
it is hard.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. Woo!
Wrapping it up. Thank you, dear listener, for downloading this in your podcast of choice. Be sure to star her favorite up. That's how people find out about the show. Follow us on one of the good ones, Mastodon or Blue Sky, and then head over to patreon.com/shoptalkshow and join us in the Discord. Chris, you got anything else you'd like to say?
--shoptalk-show.com